Okay, we're up to video 2. So we have animal communication systems. We're talking about the different characteristics of language, of which there are 3 and 4, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 of them. Um, and so we had interchangeability, and we're talking about animal language. And so, how do we know what animal language is, and how do we know it's interchangeable? Well, um, when you have bees, honeybees, and I made a little picture here, you can see. Honeybees, when they go out they fly out of their hive and they go out looking for flowers. Then they come back. And when they get back, they tell their fellow honeybees, hey, we have found flowers, and this is where it is. And to do that, they dance a little dance. So they shimmy and shake around in a big figure eight. They shimmy and shimmy and shimmy and shake, and the figure eight looks something like this. And basically, what that is doing is that is communicating to their fellow honeybees something very important. There are 2 dimensions here to each of these. There's the width of the figure eight, and then there's the orientation of the figure eight. So the width of the figure eight has to do with the distance. That's distance, and then orientation is direction. And so for the big one, the direction is coming way out here, right? Because it's a big figure eight, and that's the distance here, the big wide figure eight. With a smaller figure eight, the distance is much closer, but the direction is still perpendicular to the figure eight. And all honeybees can do this. This is what honeybees do. They do it instinctively. They're all taught by their genes to do this, and it's interchangeable. All of them can do it. At least the ones who are going out and gathering honey and coming back and telling the other ones where the honey is, and then the other one will understand this time. But next time when they're out scouting and they find the flower, the flower and the pollen, right? They're going out looking for pollen and nectar specifically. So when they find the flowers, then they come back and tell the other bees, hey, we found some flowers, go get the nectar. Basically, so that's honeybee communication. It's not a big deal. But only human language has the following 2 characteristics. At least this is what we are claiming for this class. We can debate these in a different class, but in this class, only human language has displacement and productivity. Only human language has displacement. Only human language has productivity. Displacement says that human beings can communicate about events and sites that are distant from the present space, displaced either in space or in time. So if you have gorillas and you teach them American Sign Language, which people have done, or chimpanzees or whatever, and they can communicate, they can say, I want the ball, give me the ball, I want to play now, I want to eat, I'm hungry, give me food. But they can't say, the food is in the next room, right? Or I want to play ball tomorrow. They don't have understandings of time, and they don't have understandings of space in the way that any human language has. Any human language, pretty much, I mean, there's just debates again, but we're going to say for the purposes of this class, all human languages have can displace from the present to the past. Somebody did that yesterday. We're going to do that next season. Or in space, they went over to the other side of the mountain, they crossed the river and then came here. So there's displacement involved when we have language that can be quite creative. 30,000 years ago, that sort of thing. Long on another planet, places that we've never been, we can still talk about them. Productivity. Using a few ordinary sounds, human beings can produce a nearly infinite number of unique words and especially sentences. So a lot of times when students are writing papers, well, I'll have a student who, isn't really sort of, I don't know them that well, but they write something and I'm like, man, that's like a professional writer, dude. It's like you've been writing for New York Times for the last 10 years. It comes off so smooth. And so I take it in there. And I put it into Google. I take 12 words from that paper and toss it into Google. And sometimes I find out it came out is from the New York Times from 3 years ago. Uh, but sometimes I find out it's completely unique. Nobody in the history of the English language in print, as far as Google knows, has ever used those specific 12 words in that specific order. It's amazing. And you did it, right? You are incredibly productive. You can create things. That's the whole point of college, is to create knowledge. That's what we're doing here. That's why we're in university and not in a training school, right? We're at Miami University, where the goal is not just to get training in some field. The goal in our university is to create knowledge, both we as teacher scholars and you as student scholars. It's wonderful. It's creative. That's creativity. That each of us have, each of you have, is to create an entirely new sentence all on your own. And that's why we stress not stealing words from someone else, but using your own words is infinitely more valuable. Um, so anyway, we have nearly infinite number of unique sentences that we can create just on our own with our limited number of words. And every language is like that. Every language on the planet has the same creativity, the same productivity. Um, and animals just don't have that. Right? The chimpanzee speaking sign language um, will, say about maybe a dozen sentences, and they'll be exactly the same each time they use them. Um, Whereas a human being using American Sign Language creates a new sentence every hour, every minute, a completely unique sentence. Okay, so human language has 5 elements. There are 5 elements: human language: phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics. Phonetics is the most basic level. That's the study of sounds, what we call phones. Within phonetics, we have um, uh, basically words that you can hear and words that you can't hear. I don't know if you've ever had the experience, and somebody, if you're Chinese and English are wonderful because they're so different sometimes, and so we have students who are from China and they come to America and they ask someone their name and the person says, or or hi, I ask a Chinese person their name and they tell me their name and it sounds like, and I'm like, what? Say it again. I'm like, what? I really can't get that. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's not that I don't understand it. It's that I physically can't distinguish what sound you just made. Um, and so this is normal. This is how we learn languages, is we hear sounds, and when we're infants, we hear those sounds, and then when we get older, we can understand those. We can comprehend those sounds. We can hear them, and they make sense to us. One example of this is the Welsh lateral L. Um, so if you've seen the name here, sorry, this is not a very good whiteboard, but it's what I got. Have you seen these two names? Whoop, there we go. Lloyd, Floyd. Is that the same name? Well, in English, no. There's two different names. There's Floyd, and then there's Lloyd, right? However, in Welsh, it's the exact same name. In Welsh, basically, what you have is you have an L with a line through it, and that is known as a liquid lateral. Sorry, it's a lateral. So it's a lateral, and it's a special kind of consonant that we know of in English as well, but we're not going to get to that yet. Basically, the Welsh lateral, the way you make it is by making your tongue flat across the top, side to side, right? Pushing it up against your upper 2 teeth, and then blowing out. I'm going to do this without hopefully getting a lot of spit on my screen. Floyd, Floyd, Floyd. My cheeks sort of bubble out. You can feel it go. Floyd, Floyd, Floyd. Okay, so is that an F? Floyd? No, it's not an F, because a F has your top teeth pushing against your lower lip. This is your tongue. It's all through your tongue. The air flips around through your cheeks, and you come out with Floyd, Floyd. So people would ask the English speakers, the English bosses in Wales would go, "Oh, what's your name?" And you'd say Floyd. They'd be like, "Oh, Floyd? No, Floyd." And 5 or 6 times that, we'll just put it down with an F, because we can't write that. We can't say it, and so this is how we're going to write it. So there you go. 10 minutes in, we're already out of time.